today's ASMR showcase Ramble video, I'm going to talk about and show the cracked Amethyst tarot, as well as this mini Amethyst oracle. I got these in from a Kickstarter. It's the creator of the Botanical Tarot and Oracle, and the Phenomena Oracle, and I think she's done a whole bunch of other decks, but those are the other two that I have. So today I'll do like I do with a lot of these, where I'll show you each of the cards and read a little bit from the guidebook, which here's the sort of size. It's done a little bit differently, and I'll show you that as we go on. I haven't used it yet. I just got it, but I was very excited, so I wanted to go ahead and share it with y'all. And then at the end, I will try to do a 3-card reading. We'll see how that goes. I'm hesitating because it's sort of like a non-traditional guidebook. I'm really bad without guidebooks, but we'll see. I've been trying to work up better at just looking at the images and reading that way, so I'll do my best. I also have a book called The Inner Tarot by Kate Van Horn that can be really useful when I have a deck that doesn't have sort of a more traditional guidebook, or a deck that doesn't have a guidebook at all. So without further ado, let's get started. I think I'm actually first going to show the Amethyst Oracle, just because it's small. There's no guidebook, so it's more just sort of showing you what it looks like in case it ends up being something you're interested in. So let me go ahead and take the cracked Amethyst Oracle tarot out of the way, which, by the way, these are the packs. But we'll get to that in a minute. So here's this little buddy. It's tiny. See, well, I mean, I have small hands, so I don't really have anything to compare it to, but apparently it tells you how small my thumb is, actually. It doesn't show, that's not showing you that the box is big. It's showing you that my thumb is tiny. And it comes in a little tuck box. Not a huge tuck box fan, but I can see why he would do that for us, one of these mini decks. And at least it opens like that, where it has that sort of extra ability to open, makes it easier to not break it. So here are the backs. They kind of match a little bit the tarot in terms of like the little hanging keys. And if I'm not positive, I think if I remember right, this deck, the Amethyst Oracle, was originally a full-size deck, but I don't think you can get it that way anymore. So this is air, and because they're so small, let me see, can I zoom in? Yeah, there we go. Autumn. And I've only, I think, flipped through these once, so this is very new to me too. Chai. I may even, when I do the 3-card spread, maybe try to use this with it. Chaos. I don't think I've really ever done that before. Like, tried to read a spread from like one deck and then have sort of an intuitive oracle deck with it. It's confinement, different little terrariums. This one is creation. Day. Destruction. I think those were maybe morels. between trees. She has a lot of mushrooms. It's earth. Which I like. I like to look for I don't eat mushrooms, but I like to search for them and photograph them, so it's always kind of cool to see them in a deck. This is empty. And it's weird. The video, like, it's almost making it think like a checkerboard over the images. If that's coming through, that's not actually the card. That's my camera, my phone for some reason. Energy. Love a good thunderstorm. We had thunder here earlier, but no rain. Fear. It's very spooky. Fire. Innocence. Glowing bubbles. We have a labyrinth. Lava lamp. Something I really love about a lot of oracle texts is sort of like this one's a good lies, a good example of one where it's sort of like a collection of different things like innocence and lava lamp, like, or one's like, an item you might have in your house, and the other's like a quality magic. It makes things fun and interesting. It's like life. Night. This is my fingernail. That gives you, again, my hand's so small that it's a ridiculous comparison. Best friend. Nostalgia. I'm actually reading a book where they're talking about, it's actually like an object in the book, like an important object in the book. Omen. Order. I like this one, Overwhelm. It's a really good image. A huge wave or tsunami or something coming. Passivity. I think this was interesting because I don't know if this is a particular species of jellyfish. Like maybe it's one that doesn't sting or something. But I associate jellyfish so much with stinging that the fact that it's called passivity almost makes me read it as passive aggressive. Because, well, they may not move, a lot, or we don't think of as moving in the same way like as us. It's actually very dangerous. I love this as a perspective card, looking up from the ground through the gills of mushrooms. Really neat. So like I said, lots of mushroom cards. Poison. Precarious. Looks a lot like the Fool card, or like a Fool card. Protection. I like that as an image, so you can hide behind the cave behind the waterfall. Refresh. This one's interesting to me too, because I feel like I can see this as both the ocean, or body of water, or also mountains. If you've ever been to like a desert or a place where you can see super far into the distance, that's what it looks like. The mountains like sort of slowly fading into the back. And if it's the mountain, if I see it as the mountain, I definitely would see that as refreshing. The ocean, while I like bodies of water, I don't know if I was in the middle in this way that I would feel. To me, that would be more like fear. But that's just me. Resistance. So there might be like a card that I'd read differently depending on its relationship to other cards. Ritual. Science. Secret. secret card. Silence. Those must be the northern lights. I think. Solitude. I like that card. Then we have spring. Summer. Time. It's a cute deck. Tranquility. I'm really glad I added this on. I almost didn't. True. But I'm glad I did. Water. If she'd had the full size, I probably would have gotten it. But this one's cute too. Winter. And wish. Okay, so that is the Amethyst Oracle. I'm gonna go back out here now. I'm gonna put this off to the side, but like I said, I'll probably try to use it when I do the 3-card spread part of this video. So while I get things ready, give you something just to stare at. Okay. Just doing a quick shuffle of the little Amethyst Oracle deck. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me put that off to the side. So now we're going back to the cracked Amethyst tarot. And I'm going to first open up the guidebook and let's see. Let's see what kind of things she says. All right. So on her Kickstarter page, which you can go and read, you'll find out more about the deck here, but the way it's set up, the guidebook has the major and minor arcana, but the way she does it is a little more, it's just interesting. So, for example, the Fool, she has the keywords, that was my arm. The Fool has, so that you can see the keywords at the top, and then maybe some questions or some notes, some images, some descriptions. So it just really depends. So like here we have the 2 of Cups. Looks different, right? Like she still always has, I think, the keywords at the top, but she kind of talks about what connection she's making as far as I can tell. So we'll see more of that when I do a reading later. But let's go ahead and look at the cards themselves. And I don't think I've shuffled these yet. I can't remember already. Also, you can't really see it, I don't think, but the bordering has a shine to it. So the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, and I'll probably go a little bit faster than I normally do just because I showed the Amethyst, and so that took time. We've got the Empress. I love how she always has, or not always, often has fungi of various types. The Emperor. It's a really red, it's almost hard not, I don't know if you can really see it even in the video, how like it's just really rich reds and oranges. I have the Hierophant. I like all the different little things in the tree, and like the Milky Way up at the top. Then we have the Lovers. I'm not a huge fan of bees in general, but bumblebees are okay, they're pretty cute. the Chariot. I'm going to put a link in the description to, let's see. I want to put a link in the description to Frost and Forest channel. She has uploaded, I think it was just a couple days ago, a video that looks at the cracked amethyst and the spacious tarot together. And this is one of the cards she shows where they both have to do with like moving water. So for whatever reason, seeing that card really made me think of her video. I was watching it earlier. I think I accidentally pushed play when I was just grabbing my computer to look, make sure I got the channel name right. But I'll put a link in the description to her to that video in case you want to see her comparison. This is the Strength card. I like. First I thought it was a desert, but I guess it's a road actually. Maybe looks like one that hasn't been driven on in a while, or else not upcapped infrastructure. The other thing I'd say about her video is she obviously knows much more about tarot than I do. So she has good insights into like the imagery, and sort of meanings and things like that. So it's the Hermit. It was beautiful. The Wheel of Fortune. I like all the different things going on. Justice. I love a good cave, whether it's living or dead. This would be a living. If you've never been to a cave before, you may not know this, but caves can be considered living or dead, and if there's like still water and things are still building up, it's a live cave. So here, since it's dripping, this would be a live cave. I live in a state that has a lot of caves, and even though I haven't been to many of them, I just found them so fascinating. The Hanged Man. Glacier. There's a lot going on underneath. Yay, mushrooms, death. I think it's interesting too. I was just reading a book where they were talking about like when a tree dies, they're like, why do we call it's not death, it's the beginning of a new life, because mushrooms can help decompose. There's some mushrooms that like eat them living, and there's some that eat them dead. Temperance. So we have the mycorrhizae? I never pronounce things right. But again, she's got all different kinds of fungi, and you can see how the fungi are intertwined with the roots of the trees, which is a real thing. We have the Devil. And there's a little moth and butterfly caught in the web. But the colors on these are really, I'll put this upside down, are really, really rich. I love the reds and oranges that she has. So the tower, the volcano, and there are volcanoes with lightning. The star, like that, the comet, a shooting star. I guess it could either be a shooting star or a comet. I'm not sure. Either way, it's cool. The moon. The artwork in these two decks, the Amethyst and the cracked the Amethyst Oracle and the cracked Amethyst Tarot. Of the two other decks of hers I have, it reminds me most of the Phenomena Oracle. A botanical deck. I just realized she has more mushrooms. I'm gonna pull this up for a second. I'm almost positive these are black trumpets, and that could be a old man of the woods. It's hard to tell. Either way, it's kind of like actually searching for mushrooms. You don't notice them at first. imagery reminds me a lot more of the phenomena than the sun. But the botanical almost has a much more, I'm not sure, the angular images and its judgment. I don't know what the right word I'm looking for is. The world. Magic. So this is an extra card. Then we have the minors. So we've got arrows. See that now you can kind of see the glowing's not the right word. What am I looking for? The shine. So this is the one of arrows, and to me there's a like, and I'm sorry, I'm about to butcher your channel's name. Frost and Forest as a better description of like pip versus non-pip decks. When she compares like the Spacious tarot and this tarot, because Spacious is much more like a pip deck, but to me, I sort of got a pippy feel. I went through it, but it's kind of like so this is the 3 of arrows. I guess there's 3. What do you call the feathers? My brain is not working right. There was a deck I had on here the other day. I was talking about this, where it's almost like what I'd call somewhere between a pip and a knot. Maybe it was the Mindscape. I can't remember. So this is the 5. That's a neat card. The 6 of arrows. So the arrows are the wands, I believe. The 7 of arrows. The 8 of arrows. The 9 of arrows. But I mean, there are different images and stuff on the back. But it's very much like, it seems, I don't know enough about like tarot meanings to really say like, oh, this captures that meaning or not. But visually to me, because of the background and the foreground, it seems, to me there's a lot of like, here's the item and then the background is different. It doesn't really matter to me in that like, I still think this is a beautiful deck. But the Queen of Arrows. But I do prefer like non-pip decks. And again, like I said, I don't really know where a pip deck begins and ends. If that makes sense. Like it's definitely not a strict pippy deck. I always like the Ace of Cups. It's an interesting image of it sort of overflow, like it's being poured so much it's overflowing. Just the 3 of Cups. The 4 of Cups. Like this one obviously read is not like pit. There's not just like 4 items. I'm assuming the 4 of Cups might have to do with like isolation. I'm not sure. Again, like I said, I don't know tarot meanings well, like by heart. I don't know if I ever will. Like if I'll ever sit down and, or sort of like, it's more like as I use them, as things stick. 7 of Cups. The 8 of Cups. Yeah, like I like the cups so far more than the arrows. imagery seem more lively. Like I could look at them and, take certain feelings or thoughts just from the images. Whereas the arrows, I felt more like maybe I need to look at the background, but I felt more like, you're just seeing like different number of arrows or things like that. This is the Page of Cups. One's doing some watercolor. The Knight of Cups. Someone's got an ink. Queen of Cups. Someone's doing some magic. And the King of Cups, some science. Now we've got the stones. I love crystals and rocks. Here's the two stones. These would look like some of the rocks that I found when my husband and I were able to go up to Lake Superior, and I'd never been there before. And then I actually found a couple that looked like that one, maybe that one. I don't know if they're the same, but like they're all similar. But anyway, there's so many cool rocks. It's kind of insane. This is the Three of Stones. It's neat to like Stonehenge these stones. The Four of Stones. Like a rock garden. Rock garden. That's the name for them, rock gardens. The Five of Stones. The Six of Stones. The Seven of Stones. Oh, it's beautiful. I love that. So far, even though usually Pinnacles are not my favorite suit, I love her Pinnacle Stones card so far. And I just really love rocks. Maybe that's why. Stone. Which one is this? Let's see. The Nine of Stones. I'd say the only thing I don't like about the decks I have of hers is that sometimes the numbers and letters like fade into the background, but that's the only bad thing I have to say. Stone, Ten of Stones, Page of Stones. It's actually, I think, part of the reason I haven't showcased the botanical one, though maybe I will now. Knight of Stones, because I started to try to, and then I was like, the words, like, you couldn't see them well, but maybe it doesn't matter since I'm saying them out loud anyway. The Queen of Stones. Because that'd be a neat one, because it's both like tarot and oracle. It's huge. Stone, King of Stones. And it has a bunch of expansion packs, so like it's big to begin with, and then with the expansions it's like insane. So this is the One of Swords, the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords. That's one of the few ones I know too where like traditionally it has the three going to the heart. The Four of Swords. Makes me think the sword is just sort of enjoying a nice spring day. The Five of Swords. The Six of Swords. The Seven of Swords. It looks like it's being forgotten in the depths. The Eight of Swords. This reminds me a little bit. This makes me think of as like King Arthur, but if you were in like East Texas or Western Louisiana, out in the swamps, in the bayou. Swords, Ten of Swords, Page of Swords. I like how our decks, like this deck has so many vivid colors. I didn't do this on purpose, but you can really get a sense of that the way they're sort of stacked up. The Knight of Swords. You can see, I think the swords and the arrow suits I don't like as much in this deck as I do, or let me phrase it the positive way. I think I like the pentacles and the cups more than the swords and the arrows in terms of imagery. I just think there's a lot more dynamism, but I think this deck is beautiful. King of Swords, and I never know how to like recommend something like if you like the artwork, the imagery, the style, that's what I'm here for, showing you guys, and that way you get a sense of like what's available. Because I know, like I said before, I'm gonna put this in while I shuffle it before I do this spread. But I know for me, like, especially when I was first collecting decks and I'd hear about one, and then like a lot of times you can find YouTube videos, but not always. And even still, sometimes there's like a lot of videos on a deck, but I'm like, show me the guidebook, show me the guidebook, and then like someone doesn't show the guidebook. This is my cat. She was sleeping. I think she woke up and said nobody is out there. Okay, I guess it will be one of our cards. So I'm shuffling for 3-card spread. I'm gonna put that off to the side. That'll either be part of the spread, or it might be sort of a tiebreaker type card. Oh my goodness, she sounds super sad. I don't know if you can hear her. I don't know how you can't hear her. She's so loud. Sometimes when she's been taking a nap and wakes up and like nobody's out there, she gets really upset. But for sure, she can't be in. This is one of them. Alright, so let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick. I'm gonna pick 3. So 1 from the top and 2 from the middle. And then that 3rd card that fell out may or may not use depending on what we see here. And then and same with the amethyst one. I'll first put out the 3, and then we will see. So we've got the Queen of Stones. We have the 10 of Arrows. It's gonna be hard for me because I don't know my images. And the 1 of Stones. Okay. I'm trying to see, just looking at them, if anything jumps out at me. So yellows and oranges, especially yellows, reds and oranges. This is looking down like into a cave or a well. And these are actually, are they on like a plant? Like they look like they're not just growing out of the ground, like they're on something. It's like an obelisk, like a man-made structure, but with flowers, sort of almost maybe being taken back over by the land. This one to me looks like someone's hung up their weapons for a while, either literally hung them up like forever, or else like maybe storing them while they go up to do something else. We've got stones on both sides. We got a 10 and a 1, so there's a 1 in both. I don't know, I'm really bad at reading like sort of just a pure tarot, so let's go ahead and go to her book. see what we see. So first we've got the Queen of Stones. It says nurturing, resourceful, and protective. Evening sky. So these are kind of the like words other words associated with it. Evening sky, experience calm. It says the vine is alive and growing, supported by the pillar. Symbols clearly have meaning, guide, a signpost. So you can see here there's symbols on the obelisk. And then stable, firm, grounded, refined, and polished, uncomplicated. Okay, let's go to the 10 of arrows. Stress, burden, and overexertion. It says this, it points out, is so close to breaking, and this is so heavy. So you can see as it's pulling, it's almost breaking the thing. So it's dragging down. So that's an example. I'll show you an example. So like of the guidebook. So when I was showing you the Queen, see, she kind of breaks down the symbols and has information, but it's different for all the cards. So like in the 10 of arrows, that's much more simplified, where, you know, she's showing you why she chose that particular imagery or what that is showing. And then the last card we have is the Ace of Stones. Abundance, prosperity, growth. You can see here, illumination, being revealed, abundance, growth. So you've got the crystals growing, you've got the light, the top of the cave, or the well, illuminating and revealing the sparkling crystals. So, as always, if you obviously, hopefully you've paused it if you just wanted to see the cards yourself and read them on your own. Nurture, resourceful, protective, stress, burden, overexertion, abundance, prosperity, and growth. So sort of the card that had fallen out was the Hermit card. Don't really have space for it in here. We're just gonna, I don't know, just for the moment, I'll move it around here. I want to put it there while I read from that one as well. This will give you a sense too of the majors in the guidebook. So here's the Hermit, introspection, solitude, perspective. So she's got clear viewpoint, retreat, so there's a place to go, taking space and time away to think, time to breathe and think and contemplate, and it's far away, up I'm having a hard time with this one, but I don't think it has anything to do with the deck. I think it has everything to do with my ability to read tarot sort of independent of someone holding my hand. And so if you're someone who sort of knows your, sort of tarot inside and out, or not inside and out, but you know the meanings of the cards, I'm sure this reads completely differently to you. I'm trying to pull it out some so we can have them all in here. And then I'm going to pull from it says autumn. This is from that Amethyst Oracle. at this different than I might with other decks. I'm gonna ignore the guidebook and ignore even like the colors and stuff and just sort of see, well, taking in the guidebooks and what I've read, but like see if anything sort of pops out at me. So in that first spot, there's this man-made object. To me, it's a man-made object being taken over by nature. And you're in nature, right? There's mountains behind you. There's no other evidence of like human settlement. There is, to me, even though I'm sort of ignoring all the other meanings. And the second card is either more sort of like hanging something up, sort of putting something away, putting your weapons away, putting your tools away. Crystals, I just love some good crystals. Like, I don't even know what crystal means, they're just so fun and beautiful and amazing. But kind of like, again, this isn't like, I'm still taking in things she said, but so these aren't like new insights, but that, to me, that look like looking down a well. So it's like looking down into darkness and seeing this beautiful, growing, glistening thing. And so real treasure. So like looking into the well, looking into the darkness and finding treasure. And then the hermit, I could almost see is like just looking at these things or backwards at this stuff. So like maybe this kind of belongs with that autumn. I mean, we're almost going into autumn, and depending on where you live, you might even, well, depending on where you live, it might actually be going into spring. But if you're in the southern hemisphere, but if you're in the northern hemisphere, you may already live somewhere where it's autumn, like, leaves are changing, but the rest of us are catching up. But I could almost see these two going together, like, seeing as self as, to me, autumn is a time of reflection, and see the hermit as, and that's when we're sort of like, winter's real hermity, but like, autumn's the beginning of that, almost like, oh, if you were walking through the forest, like, you're going in through here, but eventually you're going to end up there, and then like, looking back at all of this. And so if I'm here, if I'm the hermit, or going into hermit space, or like hermit mode, autumn hermit mode, I think it'd be looking back. Like, if I read this as maybe like, the past, like the rest of the year, so like January through August, just since the end of September, it's autumn anyway, is, in some ways that image of nature taking over something man-made is maybe more like going back to my roots, and taking things that seem like success, or were success, like I was successful. Again, like, at some point I may be able to go in detail, but I'm not going to go in detail. The only reason I would want to on a video is because it helps explain what I'm saying about myself, but maybe that doesn't matter, since like you don't need to know that, right? We're just talking, or I'm just talking and hoping some things speak to you as well. So maybe generalities are better anyway. But if I saw like that first card, I think, sort of traditional success, traditionally successful is getting taken back by the earth, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe it was time for it to go, which really leads up to that next piece. If it was time for it to go, it's time for me to hang up my tools, and that may be even at the same time, the tools I needed to use to protect myself and save myself were also breaking me, even if they were necessary. So there's almost like there's a resignedness to both of these, or resignation to both of these. Resigned that, my sort of worldly successes are being taken back. I just noticed for the first time the moon. I love that when I look at a card and it's like, how did I not see that? It reminds me of like when I'm out hiking and it's like, it's almost mind-blowing how much you don't see, and you notice you don't see when you see things you didn't see, like you're hiking in, and if you go back the same way, you're like, how on earth did, like a big red mushroom, you're like, how on earth did I miss that? It's kind of like that, where I'm like, how did I stare at that card and like completely miss it? But anyway, so for me, I think it's like my worldly success is being destroyed, but not necessarily in a bad way. And, there's a resignation that the earth is sort of taking that back or breaking that down. And there's still flowers, right? Like the breaking down doesn't have to be bad. It can just be changing one thing into another. And then, like I said, like the tools of both of my success in the sort of practical world, and also the tools I needed to save myself in this world that almost broke me. It's time to hang them up, and they're getting hung up, and that's nice and good. And that in hanging them up, I'm free now to look into the darkness and, like free to look into the darkness and see what I can see. Like maybe at first it just looks dark, like I'm looking in the well. At first it did just look dark, and now it's both dark and light. There's both sort of, and also like stuck in the well. You know what I mean? So like, I think for me, this part speaks to my own experience this year of, being lost and being stuck, but also maybe a chance to see some, there's some brightness in that darkness, and that then being in that hermit stage, maybe this is actually in there. Maybe that's what's glowing. Man, she's going at it out there. So being in that darkness, maybe I don't always see the crystals, see the shining stuff, but if I pay attention, it's possible to be experiencing both, intense darkness and also intense beauty. So maybe I'm not as bad at this as I thought. I think I'm worse at it when I try to, I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I'm reading these, if I have a guidebook, it's very helpful. If I have a guidebook that doesn't go into detail, I think that's almost harder for me than no guidebook. But I actually like this reading now that I've spent time rambling about it, which is why I personally like my own ramble videos, because they help me think through things. And so I'd almost say, as a whole, for me, I almost see this as gratitude of my own destruction. Gratitude for my own destruction. I don't know what comes next. That's why I'm in a hermit stage, right? stage of, you know, who knows what comes next, who knows what life holds. But yeah, I'd say grateful destruction is my phrase for today. Anyway, I hope you also got something out of these cards, out of this video, even if that's just saying like, wow, those are some pretty cards, or I like those decks, or what have you. So I'm actually going to try to think if I want to put, let me take these out. I like having an image that I can put as the front of the, you know, like whatever you call it, the starting page. So maybe can have that with the box. As well as this with the box, maybe. Or maybe like this. Trying to make it aesthetically pleasing to me. There we go. I think I like that. The cracked amethyst tarot. The amethyst oracle. Oh, that is way too bright. Let me change the light there. There we go. The amethyst oracle. The cracked amethyst tarot. As always, thanks for coming today. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope to see you again soon.